Good morning. I'm Marjorie Rice, your worship associate this morning, and welcome to Shawnee Mission Unitarian Universalist Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are in your life's journey, you are welcome here. If you are new to SMUUCh and want to know more about our church, please fill out our Get in Touch form using the link in our video description. Or if you are interested in learning more about Unitarian Universalism, please join our Just Basics class. It is the second Sunday of each month. For all of you joining us live this morning, feel free to start posting your joys and sorrows now if you would like the names to be read during the candle lighting. And now, a few announcements from our minister.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Rose, the minister here at SMUUCh. It is a joy to see you and an honor to be broadcast into your homes. As you may or may not know, there is a season of restfulness during the summer at Unitarian Universalist churches. Like the academic calendar, we build in rest, planning, and study time during the summer for many of our staff and for the volunteers. These weeks include extra spiritual practice, study, retreat, and most importantly, rest. I will not be taking the full study leave over the summer as I have in the past, but just being partially gone. And in the meantime, we are very pleased to announce that we will be participating in the Summer Consortium of local UU churches worship, which means that we will broadcast a service made by one of our sister churches each week for part of the summer. I am so overjoyed that we get to experience an array of worship and that you get to hear from my local colleagues for whom I have great respect and who have been a huge support in mentoring me in my first 5 years of ministry here at SMUUCh. Reverend Dr. Kendall Gibbons from All Souls on the Plaza, Reverend John Alou Johnstone from the Manhattan Fellowship, Reverend Oscar Sinclair from Lincoln, Nebraska, Sherry Woodbury from First Omaha, Reverend Shelley Page from the Lawrence Fellowship, and Reverend Linda White, Minister at Large from Illinois, and so many more. Plus, a lot of little congregations from around the area have bought into the services, and we are so glad to get to enrich the worship of people who don't have ministers, and so excited to be watching alongside all the UUs in the area. Secondly, I would like to announce that over the summer, our production team will be working to set up a new camera system so that we can have both live and virtual worship going forward. I do hope that those of you who are viewing just online will consider giving money to the church when it comes time for us to raise money to pay for this investment that we are making in you. It is so important that we stay available online for everyone who has started worshiping with us across the nation, and we're so glad you're here. I will be going to the virtual General Assembly on June 21st and then on to a few weeks of study leave and vacation to return in early August. Let us set our sights high and fly on the lofty winds of hope coming into the next year. Let us make next year one of rejoicing, healing, and celebration. When I return, I look forward to continuing all the work we've done together in service to our beautiful community. Because together we're better. Together we are a courageous church, a courageous community, a courageous globe. Come, let us worship. Before we sing our opening hymn, I wanted to take a moment to reflect on the past year before I do take my brief break. This year, of course, has been a wild ride, and there are so many silver linings to what was, by and large, a difficult, trying, sad, and lonely season of life. But together, this church forged a great many pathways during this year: virtual church, small group ministries, stable board, the food pantry, the garden, outdoor RE, etc. All of this is to be celebrated, and we have been celebrating it. But there are two emergent spaces that I wanted to talk briefly about that have opened during the pandemic. Firstly, I want to say thank you to everyone who participated in the nightly 5 o'clock Zoom call. If you can believe it, we held space every single night except Sunday for over a year, and so many people came over the course of the year. This was a lifesaver throughout this long season of quarantine. Of course, the fellowship was important, but the part that stuck out to me was that every single day we meditated. This was an enlightening experience for me, and I just want to say that my gratitude is for the people who showed up for each other and for all the people who dropped in. Secondly, I want to say thank you to the people who were part of my adult RE class and book read of My Grandmother's Hands by Resmaa Menakem. This was the White Allies group who met every 2 weeks on Wednesday nights, holding steady throughout the entire year, meeting for 2 hours to do this really deep work. This was the work, to take these 3 beliefs: that white people suck, that I don't want to be white, and that I'm a special white person, and turn them into these 3 beliefs: that there are things that supremacy systems have done to my people, that we are fundamentally rooted with our people to get free, and that we want us and our people to join with groups of people of color and other white people to all get free. We did a lot of psychosomatic, aka body awareness, around our physical reactions to conversations around race, and moved into an empowering awareness of generational trauma, processing our own racism, meditating, and committing and recommitting ourselves to the work, struggling together to get free from the confines of our own racism and our racist society, but also to grieve, feel, and commit. But I have to say that most importantly, this group gained confidence to talk about this with other white people, to be able to process the issues that we and others face in getting free from the death-dealing systems around us. I am seriously forever indebted to the 15 people who have been on the journey over this past year, together unpacking this vital topic through all of the protests and all of the national racism that we've seen. And thus, although I am disturbed by many of the things that occurred this last year, I do feel very lucky that I have new deepenings in my own ministry around anti-racism work and meditating. And what we learned from our author, Resmaa Menakem, is that the two go hand in hand. I feel like I am seeing exciting horizons for the ministry of the church. Of course, I want to let go of the ugly and the troubling, but I will also keep and hold on to so many things, bringing them forward into the ministry of the church, deepening our spiritual practice and our commitment to the beloved community. Please join us for our opening hymn, number 346, Come Sing a Song With Me. And because our lovely music director, Sean Cullen, is not here, he's under the weather, blessedly, you do not have to listen to me and Marjorie stumble through the hymns, and we have videos for you.
And I'll bring you home when hope
All you need is a candle, a spark, and some sort of special chalice. And some parental supervision.
Please join me as we light our chalice and affirm that love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity and fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another.
Hi, Celie. How are you? I'm good. Well, what have you been up to?
Oh, I've been having fun with my friends who I haven't seen in a long time after we got out of quarantine, my puppet friends.
Oh, that's nice. It's really nice to see people who we haven't seen in a long time. For me, too.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask a question. One of my puppet friends said that they wanted to go by a different name and that they're not a boy anymore, they're a girl.
I see. Do you have any questions about that, or what does that make you think?
Well, I was wondering if it's pretend.
Well, sometimes we do give each other different names in pretend, but there are other times when someone really wants to change their name, or there's a name or an identity that feels much truer to them. And so when they're asking you to call them by a different name, that's really them wanting that to be a permanent change because that's how they want to be known, and that's how they know themselves. You know, one very small example of this might be about when you and I go to Mexico and you have a different name in Mexico.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Do you remember what your name is in Mexico?
My name is Amorcita.
Yeah, so in Mexico, your family calls you Amorcita because morsa means seal in Spanish, and so Amorcita is little lovely seal. And your family in Mexico knows you differently than your family here does. And do you feel any different when they call you by a different name?
Yeah, when I'm called Amorcita, I feel it's kind of girly, and I love it.
Yeah, so that's just a very small example of a time when you are called by a different name, but for some people they feel so deeply in their hearts that they want to be known in a particular way, and it's up to us as their friends to, well, I guess I should ask you, Celie, do you feel that you are a boy or a girl or anything in between?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay, you don't have to know.
Reverend Rose, are you a boy or a girl?
Well, I identify as female and I'm a woman, but I am married to a woman, so that means that I am in the LGBTQ community. Yeah, what do you think about that?
Oh, I think that's great.
Well, Celie, I did want to tell you one story, which is that when I was a youth and I went to a Unitarian Universalist youth conference, I remember there was a coffee house and there was a young man who came out on stage and he was wearing a dress. And I thought, why is that boy wearing a dress? But once he started to move, he was so feminine, I realized that he was actually a girl. And so it's not really about our body parts, it's about how we feel inside.
Oh, so what should I do?
Well, Celie, I think you should know that, first of all, it's always okay to ask questions, and your friend who, is gender fluid, it sounds like, and who wants to go by a different name, you should definitely call them by that name. And if you hear someone calling them by what we call the dead name, the name that they don't want to be called anymore, you should advocate for them and be like, hey, actually they want to go by this name.
Oh, I feel like I can do that. I hope that you all know that however you want to be, I'll still be your friend. And if anybody has any questions, any kids out there, I can answer them.
Thanks, Celie. That's so nice of you. You're such a good friend. Okay, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Bye!
This is the time where we expand the caring love of our ministry, where we draw to heart those in our midst who are suffering and those who feel the sweet relief of their burdens easing. I invite you to take a moment, close your eyes, take a deep breath. Today we draw to mind the indigenous tribes of Minnesota who are protecting our waterways, who are in a treaty stand with a company who would like to drill horizontally along the upper banks of the Mississippi. We send them all our strength to protect all of our water and for the Native leaders to feel supported, believed, and valued for all the work, the hard, dangerous, difficult advocacy and labor that they do to protect our world's natural resources. We also lift up all the incredible voices and influences that the LGBTQ plus community has had on the health, beauty, and depth of the human conversation. We honor and lift up these liberated ways of being and work towards a world where we are truly on the side of love. And as always, we rejoice over the exquisite beauty in this world, as small or life-changing as each piece of beauty might be. And now please comment in the comment section of the live chat your joy or sorrow. Remember, this moment of sharing happens online and is public for all viewers joining us today. To join us further together in the beloved community, we will read aloud some of the posted joys and sorrows as I light the candles.
Karen has had the joy of holding her new granddaughter this last week. Jen has a joy of getting to have a special day with her nephew and getting the chance to reconnect. Danny has a joy in sharing with Reverend Rose, SMUUCh members, and the family of Harvey Jetmore in his graveside service. We light the remaining candles for all the joys and sorrows posted in the chat, and for those that remain unspoken in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts.
Close your eyes again, put your feet flat on the floor, breathe deeply in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just taking a second to come into your body, inviting into you love and positivity. Breathing deeply, allowing some of your stress, worries, expectations to melt away. Spirit of life, we ask you to show us a peaceful, joyful, authentic path. We seek to be our fullest, most beautiful, loving, generous, and kind selves. I invite you to draw to mind someone who you know is struggling. Doesn't matter how small the struggle is. Send them a well wish or thought. Noticing how good it feels to feel compassion. Draw your awareness to the present moment, knowing that this very moment is never to be again. Surrendering yourself to it, letting go of all that you are carrying. Blessed be, and amen. Please remain in your moment of peacefulness as we play for you our meditative hymn, How Could Anyone Ever Tell You?
How could anyone ever tell you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Our reading today comes from the Christian canon. For in honor of Pride Month, I think it's important for us to reclaim the scriptures, for they have been so misused. I want to talk about this from the pulpit because it is important to proclaim that we exist and are sacred beings full of worth and spirituality, to lift up the incredible beauty of humanity. Our reading today is about the story of Genesis, interpreted by a young Christian seminary student named Michaela Nicole, or at Michaela Atencio. Even if you don't believe in God, you can appreciate their beautiful words. I'm non-binary, they start off saying. How does this reconcile with the verse, male and female, he created them, you may ask? The variety in God's creation emphasizes God's creativity as an artist. Genesis gives us several examples of this. God made day and night. This sounds like a binary, similar to male and female, right? That isn't quite all that we experience in 24 hours. Sunrises and sunsets do not yet fit into the binary of day and night, yet God paints the skies with these two. On the second day, God separated the sky from water. Seems like another binary, yet the clouds hold water for us in the sky, the condensation and rain cycle refreshing our earth constantly. The sky, separate from water, contains and releases water. God also said, "Let there be waters under the sky gathered together in one place, and let the dry land appear." That isn't the full story either. Consider marshes, swamps, bogs, fens, not fully land, not fully waters. There is such glorious variety in God's creation. They say God created the great sea monsters and every winged bird of every kind, a split between water and sky, yet we see creatures like penguins that are definitely a winged bird, but do not fly and instead walk and swim. And then in the celestial bodies, when God created the great light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night, and then almost as a footnote, also the stars, there is more than just the sun and the moon in outer space. There are planets, asteroids, black holes, supernovas. And then back once more to male and female, he created them. First off, intersex people do exist. But, and perhaps more importantly, friends, look around, listen. Do you have friends or family that say that they don't fall under male or female? If so, honor them. I have a sermon. I want to take a second to lift up all of my lesbian sisters who are watching, all of my gay brothers, all of my trans and fluid siblings, all my people who live in the in-between and never's been. I want to raise up those who take space up in their difference, who are extra, who are unique, who make the world more beautiful every day with our intelligence and our love and our wisdom. This is a sermon about taking up space, and I want you to hear that you can take up space. I want you to feel safe and comfortable and beautiful in your skin. Yes, I want to lift you up as deserving of a safe spiritual home, but this is a sermon for everyone, because we've all got a little smallness in our lives, and we've all got constriction. We've all got ways that we keep ourselves hidden, ways that we are afraid to bring forward that which is sacred in us. And thus I want to talk to you about this concept of taking up space, of living in your body, of being proud of who you are, respectful of yourself in your in-betweenness, being a friend to yourself in your natural state, loving yourself in the life you've lived, mistakes, difficulties, and all, especially when you experience shame. Let me tell you a parable. Once upon a time, there was a man who desperately wanted to be loved, to be seen, to be liked. So he invited a friend over and showed him his wall of trophies, his academic accolades, his successes. His guest was impressed by the wall of amazingness, but also alienated, and he left. If only the guest had known to look a little closer, search a little longer, he would have seen that there was another wall just behind him, which was the wall of his host's sorrows and joys. The guest would have seen himself in that wall and been able to be a friend to his host, to be the friend that his host needed. And the man who owned the house, he only directed his guest to the wall of accolades, the ways he had been acceptable. But what he didn't know is that if he wanted to connect with his guest, he should not have shown off all the ways his life was easy and enjoyable. If he wanted to connect, he should have brought his friend to his wall of joys, his wall of vulnerability, shown his true self. For whenever we want to be close or live well in community with others, our work is to open up and come out of hiding and step up. Step up, coming out, being yourself in all your technicolor beauty, loving yourself in the ways that your life is different than those around you or what you thought it should be or what everyone expects from you. Now, of course, it's easy to just tell you to step up and come out and be real, when really there are oftentimes consequences to being out, to being oneself, especially when it comes to sexuality. It's been profoundly unsafe and is profoundly unsafe for many people in the LGBTQ community to live authentically, to come out, to be proud, to live freely, because there has been, for so long, such a binary standard amongst us. And this pressure of heterosexuality is profound. At first glance, it often seems truly like the only option. It can feel like the only way to be real is to be like the day or the night, which are named clearly as sacred. To be like the water and the land, which are separate and obvious. To be male or female, which are clean distinctions and orderly. But here's a thought for you. What if these opening chapters of Genesis was God showing us the success wall, coming in hot, making a good first impression, saying, look, I made a sky and a water, and they're all tidy and normal. Saying, look at all the ways I fit the animals into the proper places. See how my man and woman are anatomically and productively impressive. And maybe when we read the scriptures and search in them for ourselves, maybe when we listen in between the lines, when we look closer, we become the friend to God. Our author, who wrote the reading today, was perhaps being a very kindly guest, seeing through this facade of successes and instead seeing all the joy and beauty of the in-betweenness, the vulnerability of twilight, the thriftiness of the marshes and the penguins, the imagination of outer space, the aching sorrows of the tides, and the explosive, glittery joy of this masterpiece that God created in all their fabulousness. Maybe sometimes we need a community to coax us out and see us for who we are. Maybe we need people who can step in beside us so that we can step up. People who can step back in reverence so that we can step in. Maybe what we can be as a church community is a community of people who celebrate all the ways that human love and families and expression are sacred, and use that dignity to wash away the shame, wash away the fear, and listen, and instead liberate us into being the spiritual beings that we are. Liberate us into taking up space, to be that friend, brave space, collective space, honest space. Blessed be, and amen.
The work of the church depends on us. In the context of global and national strife, SMUUCh can create and foster space for connection and healing. We invite you to give generously to support the ongoing work of the church. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared values.
When all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops tumble all around, heaven opens a magic flame. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found. Read from your window pane to a place behind the sun, just a step beyond the rain. If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please join us in the closing hymn, number 1064, Blue Boat Home.
feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
This week, be a friend to someone by noticing all their beautiful in-betweenness, and be a friend to yourself as well. Go in peace.